Hello from Simply Media and Deaver Brown, the publisher. Today we're doing number 3 in the YouTube series, and this one is an educational title. The Bill of Rights, a unique document in the world. Unique meaning only one, in this case it is only one, and using the word properly, you cannot be very unique. You have to be either unique, one, or not at all. So we're using it properly here, and it's the only Bill of Rights in the world that cannot be vetoed. In Canada, they have a Bill of Rights, but the government has reserved the right to cancel it, which means it really doesn't exist. Very much like but, which erases everything before it. So this is a key fact, and this was done by the Founding Fathers in the United States at the late 18th century, and they agreed after doing the Constitution, which countries all over the world have, to what the laws are and so forth and so on, to do the Bill of Rights to protect the citizens from their government, particularly minority citizens, and the minorities in a vast number of ways. This related to whether they were the political party out of favor, and often in American history, the new party that gets in tries to change things, but the Bill of Rights stops them from intruding on the rights of the citizens. My favorite moment, or one of them certainly in the early part of this business, was at the American Book Association meeting. We had a small group for audio people, and we were with Audible, and we just got signed up, which was no easy task. And Foy Sparring, who is the senior vice president, heard my voice asking a question. He said, "You're the Getting A's guy." So I asked him, "Well, what's that mean?" He said, "Well, I heard your titles, and if I'd heard them when I was at Florida State, I would have gotten A's." Now that was something, and I learned from that. The idea was, and he went on, because he had what I call horizontal knowledge. He saw everything in a group. I was like an oil rig. I was maybe 4 miles deep, but only 12 inches wide, so I didn't have the perspective he did. He said, "No, you provide a few interesting facts in your educational titles we can use, and you can put a hook on them." And it's very interesting because most of that stuff is kind of routine and not interesting. So I took a leaf out of his book, and we've been doing it ever since. And that's why I started saying the Bill of Rights is unique. Nobody has it. Canada's, they did it after Americans went up after the Vietnam War, and they were trying to escape, and they'd go up there, and they had a Bill of Rights. But the only problem is it could be canceled by the government if they think it's necessary. Well, now, that means it's like before but, and but erases everything. So the point is that this is a unique document. Now, the second part of this that you should know is the United States is the oldest standing government in the world, the way it is. And as Oscar Wilde, the English wit, said, we are the oldest young country in the world. In other words, we have a pretense of being young, but we're really very seasoned, and we've been here a long time under one form of government. In the Bill of Rights, there were 10 original items. An 11th wasn't approved until very late in the 20th century. So there are only 27 in total. So there are only 16 more that were added after it was first approved in the late 18th century. And most of these related to either reinforcing the Bill of Rights as before. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment essentially say American blacks have the same rights as everybody else. But of course they did under the original Bill of Rights, but it was reformed and presented and done because people felt it was necessary to do that. So those are 3 of them. That's a big number out of only 16. And then the rest were more or less procedural, and you had ones such as when does the president take office? The 2-term limit, the Senate being elected directly as opposed to appointed by the state legislature. Then there were 2, which are the alcohol ones, first to have prohibition and then to get rid of it. Then there was an income tax amendment, which was an important one because before that, everything was collected by tariffs. And of late, people are talking about tariffs being bad. Well, the United States government was financed by it from the late 18th century until about 1930. And then the income tax started to take hold. But there were still tariffs, and it still was the main source of revenue. So these are a few things that if you get our title, the Bill of Rights, you'll learn a lot about this country, and also it is the Getting A's group, and I think that's a wonderful title. So I've always kept that in mind, whether we do the Gettysburg Address, the Louisiana Purchase, all of those items. An idea or two is very important, and I'll just add one which I love from Thomas Jefferson, which when he did the Louisiana Purchase, he said, "This is against everything I believe, but it's right." There's a man of genius who could change his mind. Thank you from Simply Media. And if you wish to see our titles, go to simplymedia.com and see the customers we have. We're smart enough to know they do a better job than we do, so we sell through the Fang Group and Walmart.com and others who do a better job than we can do, and you can get our products one click. We have about 700. Thank you very much.